The people who have followed my content and are a part of my Discord server probably know that upon its release I wasn't happy with the story of Unconnected Marketeers. That being said, it's high time I finally make a video regarding why that is and how I have been wrong about it in one key area. This video will be somewhat of a, not really a review of UM's story, but something like that. We'll be talking about 3 points: the cards, Mizumaru, and the City of Cards. So, to not keep you waiting any longer, let us dive straight in. Okay, before anyone loses their shit, I have to say that as a gameplay mechanic, the cards worked really well. I enjoyed it a lot. However, the way they were integrated into the story, I felt like it was really haphazard and sloppy. Of course, the cards were a pop culture reference to the trading card industry of the real world. However, having something like that in the world of Gensokyo, while for some it may be relatable, for me it was really immersion breaking and took me out of the story. Not to mention the plot point that some magic prevented them from being stolen and they had to be bought. While it explains the gameplay mechanic, it also makes the player aware of the hand of the author. It feels like all the plot points and twists were made to abide to the card system and not the other way around, where the system would be seamlessly integrated into the world. We've had a couple of games which involved us, the player, using the power of the playable character and the powers of some other character in addition. Games such as IN, SA, AOCF, HSIFS. In all these games, the reasons why you could use the powers of multiple characters made perfect sense and felt reasonable. However, in UM it feels really artificial and would have needed a lot more work to be satisfying. And before anyone says anything, yes, I know that Shimata made the cards to be sold and traded to increase her power. However, it does not make it satisfying explanation. For an example, why cards specifically, and why the powers of other characters that Shimata had not met and did not know. I mean, we already have spell cards, why wasn't the card system tied to that already existing another card system? In my opinion, that would have been a more satisfying way of integrating the gameplay feature into the story. You're free to disagree and give your own opinions, of course. But moving on, next we'll have to talk about Mizumaru, and oh boy, do I have a lot to say about her. On the surface, she feels like a pretty damn important character, and that's how Zun is clearly planning to write her. But for the love of Mother above, please treat her as such if you're planning to do it. Because Jesus fucking Christ, the origin of the Hagure orbs has been a fan favorite mystery since the second game in the series, and for it to be brushed aside with some redundant Tesco god on 4th stage is a real slap in the nuts. People have been discussing about the Hagure orbs for literally decades, and now this 4th stage boss suddenly just comes and says, yeah, I made them, fuck off. Of course, she gets a special ending with Reimu, but that's hardly a compensation of the letdown she provided. In this story, she works as an accomplice for the antagonists by guarding the mine. She also uses the dragon orbs to create Izanagi objects, one of which were the Hagure orbs. Now, I don't claim that Mizumaru has ruined the series, but she came really damn close, because if you give your audience a mystery and hold a lantern over it for decades, and then give us a random 4th stage boss to be the cause of that mystery, you've practically shot yourself in the foot there. Mizumaru had the potential to be a great character, however, the way she is now makes her my absolutely least favorite character in the series. The simplest way Zun could have fixed this was to make the game revolve more around her. For instance, make her the final boss or the extra stage boss. That way you could have spent more time actually fleshing out her background and not just throw her at our faces and tell us this is how it is, now like it, fuck you. Zun has a lot of work to do if he is planning to redeeming her as a character, and I hope to honest God that he does this. Sun has had a bad habit of forgetting about his characters. I don't want Mizumaru to be yet another special character in the series and then be never mentioned again like a certain 7-colored puppeteer. Of course, the ideal situation would have been to not tie her into Hagure orbs at all and just focus on her creating Izanagi objects. Because there's already enough intrigue in that, as you will soon learn. People had developed their own ideas and theories about the Hagure orbs. Everyone had their own imagination running wild. It would have been best if it was left to stay at that. Because no explanation from the author, no matter how well thought out, which Mizumaru definitely was not, cannot compare to the expectations of the fan base, which has millions of individuals. Sometimes it is best to just have a mystery without an answer, and I think the origin of the Hagure orbs was one of those mysteries. I don't even think anyone ever truly wanted to know the creation story of them. Because a mystery that plays with your imagination is better than an explanation that crushes it. And lastly, we'll talk about what may just be the least known story beat of UM and what is in my opinion the highlight of the game, the City of Gods. Now, just a brief explanation for those who are not aware, the City of Gods is, well, a city carved inside the Yukai mountain that's been hidden from the outside populace until now. Shimada and Mizumaru are inhabitants of this city. Now, if you know me, you'd know that usually when a new place or realm is revealed in the game without any further explanation, I usually don't like it at all, especially if it is something this important. So now you're completely free to question why on earth I would like this City of Gods. It isn't like it was even a huge part of the game or explored even. Yes, that is true, but what makes the City of Gods being mentioned in the game such a great and big deal is that this is not the first time we learn of this place. In neo-traditionalism of Japan, Maribel and Renko discuss what Maribel has seen in her visions again. Maribel thinks she has visited hell, however, when she shows her visions to Renko, she confirms that it isn't hell, but actually the realm of the gods. The terminology isn't one-to-one, but we know it is the same place from the items Renko sees in the vision. This is also a big deal because it is in this story we learn about the Izanagi objects for the first time. Maribel even managed to take some back from her vision/trip to the realm of gods. Now, as you know, Mizumaru is the person who creates Izanagi objects. We don't know if she is the only one or if there are more gods creating these Izanagi objects, but I think the connection to the Renko's and Maribel's story might just be the key of salvaging Mizumaru's otherwise shitty backstory. In my opinion, there's a great story potential here. One idea I even came up with is that knowing Maribel is most likely Yukari during her younger years, could it be possible that the Hagure orbs that Mizumaru made came from Maribel's time? As in, Maribel and Renko found these orbs in the future before Maribel presumably became Yukari. We don't know, but I hope something of that caliber would be made from this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, this has been returned to the more common video length that you probably become used to from this series after the huge video I released before this. This should give at least some rough idea how I feel about UM. Massive amounts of potential, most of which was however sadly botched. But it isn't all doom and gloom. We just gotta wait and hope Zun manages to pull through with the story beats he introduced. But anyhow, if you have any theory or video ideas for the future, I'd be more than happy to read them from the comments. But for now, I have to bid you a farewell. My name is Touhou, and we'll see you in the next video.